So today I'm going to be giving you my full rundown, my full review on the new Halloween Man. So about 2 weeks ago I did a first impressions video on this one. So if you want to see my initial impressions right off the bat on this one, you can check that video out. I'll put it in a card somewhere up here on the screen. Since we've been having some beautiful weather, I've been trying to make it a priority to test this one in this nice warm weather. So now I'm ready to share my full thoughts on this one, everything from the full note breakdown, how it smells, the performance, and if I think it's going to be worth picking up. So let's go ahead and jump right into the note breakdown and how this fragrance smells. Up top we have grapefruit, lemon, ginger. In the mid we have sea notes, lavender, sage, water lily. In the base we have cashmeran, amber extreme, moss, and patchouli. So this one opens up with that citrus pop. For me it is the grapefruit, but it's also the lemon and the ginger. So it opens up spicy. So it's spicy, it's citrusy, it's fresh as soon as you first spray it on. I get some of the sea notes, I get some of the water lily coming in kind of behind that fresh pop right in the opening. So this one's not going to steer you in the wrong direction. Basically what you get here right in the opening is going to kind of give you an idea of how this one is going to be and what category it fits into. This right here is very much going to be a summertime, casual, youthful leaning, playful type of scent. Basically we're looking at something that's the complete opposite to Halloween Man X, which is one of my favorites from the line and in general one of my favorite cheapies. So this one really sets the tone with that opening. It is vibrant and it is head turning and it will get your attention. Now one thing that is imperative is that you have to try this one on your skin when you are testing it. You know, there's been times throughout my few weeks of testing it where I'll just do a spray up in the air and it does not do it justice at all. You really don't pick up on the other nuances spraying it in the air or on a paper tester strip. But as soon as you spray this one on skin, you can pick up the other supporting notes and that's when it gets pretty good. And these supporting notes that I'm talking about are going to be the patchouli and the oak moss. And that makes me excited because those notes are a bit darker and they add a bit more of a flair to the scent overall. It's not just aquatic and citrus and that's it. I find that the patchouli adds a bit of a smokiness and the moss adds a bit of green woody texture. It's really a nice combination and they are nice supporting notes to all of the other freshness going on in this one. And I do pick up on some of the cashmeran, however it's not super strong and for me it's not necessarily a main player. The cashmeran is going to give off a soft kind of light woody musky type of aroma and it is there somewhat, but you know, like I mentioned, it's not going to be something that's going to be overpowering. I'm not a fan of overpowering cashmeran notes and accords, and this one doesn't have that, so that's good news for me. In the mid, you pick up on some of that lavender and some of that sage. I mean, the lavender's coming through, just giving it a nice clean counterbalance. The sage is, you know, giving you a bit of an herbal touch, but again, those notes there aren't necessarily all that strong and the main focus either. For me, it's a lot of the opening notes like the grapefruit and the lemon, the ginger spiciness, the sea notes, and even some of those darker supporting notes like the patchouli and moss. I find that stuff carries through into the dry down. So this is definitely going to fit into that aquatic category with maybe a little bit of a blue fragrance type of thing sprinkled in there from the amber extreme, which is kind of like an ambroxan, you know, an amber type of note, but I wouldn't say it's straight up blue fragrance. You know, it does lean more aquatic, more summertime, more watery and fresh. However, there's not too much of a sea saltiness out of this one either, so that's another thing to keep in mind. And hey, maybe that's a good thing for you or a bad thing. It depends on what you're after. So the scent overall is better than I expected, and you can watch my first impressions and you'd see the same thing. I wasn't really going into it with the highest expectations, but after I smelled it, I was pretty impressed to say the least. So let's go ahead and talk about performance on this one. Longevity on my skin floats around that 6.5 to 7 hour mark, which is pretty good for a summertime leaning scent. Some people may want more out of this, and sure, I wouldn't mind getting more out of it, but you know, the 6.5 to 7 hours isn't really a deal breaker for me. In terms of projection, with just 1 or 2 sprays, it is on the softer side, but I found that if I bumped up my sprays a bit more and then wore it out in the heat, it would project a lot more. So this one would benefit from heat and a few extra sprays than you may normally do with some stronger summer fragrances. It's important to keep in mind here that this one's going to be floating around the $25 price point, $25, $30, somewhere around there once it hits discounters, and at that price, this performance isn't too bad. If you're paying over that price for this one, then you may be having some issues with that performance. But I would say as a whole, just in general, to hold off on this one until you can pick it up for about the normal price of these Halloween Man fragrances. At that price point, I think they're all really good, this one included. So don't go rushing out there and buying this one for $100. It's not worth it. But being able to pick this one up for pretty cheap in the summertime, just kind of have it as a summer beater fragrance if you enjoy the scent, it's pretty valuable. And talking about when you can wear this one, it is very much just a warmer weather type of thing. It is one where you could, if you wanted to, wear it all year round as like a signature scent if you were really into it, and it would work. There's no one telling you that you can't or that it wouldn't work, but I do think that there are better options for a signature scent, and I do think also that this one just will work better with some heat. If I wear it indoors in air conditioning, it doesn't smell the same as if I spray it on and then go outside when it's 75, 80 degrees and beyond. It needs that heat to fully open up. It is very much a warmer climate type of scent DNA, and it benefits from that. But if you really love it, it does have the versatility to where it can be worn all year round, no problem. And that's something where maybe Halloween Man X would not have, being that it is so sweet. It may be a bit too sweet for you in the summertime. So if you're looking for something ultra versatile from the line and you want something that at one point will be affordable, Halloween Man Hero is an option for you. Now let's go ahead and talk about compliment factor. Pretty standard stuff here with a scent like this. It's going to be a good compliment getter, and it is. Of course, I had my girlfriend check this one out, give her thoughts on it. She said it smelled good. Something like this being clean, fresh, aquatic, and summery is just something that will put people in a good mood. If you're out and about, you walk past someone and they smell that, they'll be like, oh, that's nice. It's uplifting. It's got that summer type of smell. And especially when you're first getting into the warmer weather, spring and summer right around the corner, when people smell stuff like this, it's going to be uplifting. It's going to be like, oh yeah, summer's here. That smells great. It reminds me of, being on the beach or whatever, that sort of idea. And that is why this is going to do good in the compliment department. Not only that, but it does have the amber extreme, ambroxan type of thing going on. It's got the citrus, it's got the aquatic notes. Overall, it is just very pleasant, and this type of scent, especially coming from a designer brand, is basically guaranteed to get compliments. Now, one thing that you should keep in mind, a limiting factor could be performance for you, depending on how many sprays you go with and if you want to be getting compliments from just everyone or only from certain people that get close to you. Something like Yves Saint Laurent Y, Eau de Parfum, Bulgaria Aqua, Atlantique, those may do better in compliment department because they are much stronger and last longer. So that's something that you have to keep in mind here with this one. If you're really wanting to get a ton of compliments from a lot of people around you, you're going to need to bump up the sprays on this one. But if you're not really after that, if you go with the normal amount of sprays, the people around you will smell you and you'll get compliments from them. So it's just all relative based off of the performance. And it's all relative based off of how many sprays you're comfortable with doing as well. Being that this one will be a cheapie at some point in the future, you can go with a few sprays extra and not, feel like you're spraying all of your money away. Personally, I think this is a pretty solid release. Now, in terms of creativity, it's not a mind blower here, but I do think that once this one, again, hits discounters, I've said that ad nauseum at this point, but once it is there, I think this is a nice option. I think it's something that will be solid to have around. Look, a lot of other aquatics out there falling in the $50 range, that's getting up there for some people who are spraying them heavily in the summertime. Having something that is affordable, having something that is good quality and is smooth and has good performance at a cheap price is pretty nice. And just to touch on that really quickly here, the quality is great from opening to dry down. It stays smooth. It doesn't smell unnatural or synthetic by any means. And actually the quality, as I've tested this one, has surprised me. And again, picking up on that patchouli and that oak moss in here is a nice little bonus. It's cool to get a bit of a smoky touch, bit of a woody texture, a green texture out of this one. Something that you wouldn't normally expect from something that will eventually fall into a cheaper price range. So that's going to do it for me, guys. That's my thoughts on the new Halloween Man Hero. Let me know if you're excited to try this one down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.